Hello, everyone. Well, my name is David Macphail. I'm an author. I write books. And I have a book coming out this week, tomorrow, in fact, and it's called Thorfinn, the Nicest Viking and the Putrid Potion. And seeing as I can't have a book launch because of all this coronavirus, I thought I would hold myself a little lockdown Viking hoedown and read to you from the first chapter of Thorfinn and the Putrid Potion. Now, just to explain to you, this is the eighth book in Thorfinn's adventures. It's a very long saga, and it's all about a nice Viking. A nice Viking, yeah. All the other Vikings are really mean. They've got huge beards. They smell a lot. They jump in with both feet. They don't think. Thorfinn, on the other hand, he goes round baking scones, making tea, helping old people across the street. He doesn't have any decent Viking qualities at all. Yeah, and the whole series is about him and how he gets on with the other Vikings. So, without further ado, I'm going to read to you from the brand new book, Thorfinn and the Putrid Potion, which is out tomorrow. One brisk autumn day, the villagers of Indgard trudged home from the fields. Their foreheads glistened with sweat. Their muscles ached. They were licking their lips, thinking about all the meaty goodies they were going to eat, because the harvest was finally in, and it was time for feasting. And there was nothing the Vikings loved more than a huge slap-up feast. Carrying their pitchforks and scythes over their shoulders, led by Eric the Earmasher, a ferocious one-eyed bear of a man, they tramped into the village square, only they did not find a Viking feast waiting for them. Oh no, but a tea party. The whole marketplace was draped with bunting, and tables were covered in crisp white tablecloths. There were fancy place settings, tiered cake stands, and platters of teeny tiny finger sandwiches, plus great mounds of scones with cream and jam, and in the middle of each table a steaming pot of pinecone tea, complete with a little frilly tea cosy. A small freckle-faced boy was humming and whistling as he laid out the plates, while a speckled pigeon danced along the table behind him, pecking up a few stray crumbs. The Vikings gaped in horror. "Thorfinn!" barked Eric the Earmasher. The boy turned, a gentle smile on his face, and doffed his helmet. "Good afternoon, my dear friends. And what a lovely—" "Cork it, Thorfinn!" boomed Eric. "Where is our food? Food!" The crowd groaned, sounding like a band of cranky old cave trolls. Thorfinn gestured towards the tables. "Here it is, my friends. Feast away." Eric jabbed his thick, sausagey forefinger at the dainty bits of bread. "What do you call these minuscule things, then?" "Sandwiches," Thorfinn replied cheerily. "You can have smoked crab and lettuce, or salmon and cucumber." "Lettuce!" cried Eric. "Vikings don't eat lettuce!" "No!" roared the crowd. "Lettuce is for the rabbits!" yelled one man. "Yeah!" another cut in. "It's too, what's the phrase I'm looking for?" He screwed up his face in concentration. Thorfinn's eyes lit up. Oh, I love this game. Do you mean high in nutrients? Rich in vitamins?" "Non-meaty," suggested someone else. "Yeah, that's it. It's too non-meaty," yelled the man. "We Vikings, we hate non-meaty vegetables." Eric glowered at Thorfinn. "We don't want your pathetic sandwiches and your wimpy little scones. We want meat." He smashed his fist down on the table. Bam! The plates, cutlery, cake stands and scones jumped 3 feet in the air, landing in a disorganised clatter. The crowd bellowed in approval. "Hooray!" Thorfinn and his pet pigeon, Percy, just stared at the mess in mild confusion. "Oh, don't worry, I shall reset the table in no time." Thorfinn was the village chief's son, which was, quite frankly, the only thing that stopped the crowd from burying him up to his neck in one of the fields and pelting him with rotten cabbages. It didn't matter that he'd saved the village many times over. What mattered was that he was nice and polite, which were definitely not good Viking qualities. Eric scowled at a small flame-haired girl wearing a helmet that was far too big for her, who was lounging on a bench, stuffing her face with scones. This was Thorfinn's best friend and anger management coach, Velda. Her job was to try and make Thorfinn less polite and more angry, like a real Viking, but she was failing miserably. Her favourite hobby was throwing axes, preferably at her enemies, but she wasn't picky. "You!" barked Eric. "You're supposed to make sure he doesn't do things like this." Velda gulped down a mouthful of scone and belched. "Brrr. I told him. I always tell him, but he doesn't listen." Eric glared at a thin, wiry old man who was lying across the bench opposite Velda, fast asleep. This was the village wise man, Oswald. "And you old fart!" Eric kicked the bench. Oswald rolled off and fell face down in a muddy puddle. The old man didn't even stir. Indeed, he continued to snore, blowing bubbles in the murky water. But before Eric could wake him, an eerie silence suddenly fell over the marketplace. A dark shadow appeared, bearing down on the villagers. Although, bearing is probably not the right word, it was more like chickening. Because staring down at them was the face of a massive, goggly-eyed chicken. And that is the very first chapter, my friends, of Thorfinn and the Putrid Potion. It's got a lot of potions in it. It's got rainbow farts as well, so please be sure to check it out. And I hope you've enjoyed my Viking lockdown hoedown. I'll maybe see you again sometime. Okay, bye.